Welcome to the only figure of 8 track on the F1 calendar. We're here at Suzuka for qualifying today ahead of the Japanese Grand Prix.
I think this could be a showdown between the Mercedes and Red Bulls today. The Red Bull team have enjoyed incredible success here over the years, but the Mercedes package could be too much for the Milton Keynes-based team.
Alright guys, so here we are once again for another episode of the F1 2015 Pro Season Mode Championship, round number 14 here for the Japanese Grand Prix. I've got to say a big apologies for the lengthy break between episodes. It simply just takes such a long time for me to get through these episodes, edit them, and then commentate over them as well. So without further ado, here we are, the Japanese Grand Prix. I believe we've jumped straight into qualifying here, so we'll see how we go around this track. It should be a little bit more fruitful for us at this round with the higher speed nature of this track. So the downforce of the Red Bull should come into its own, and it looks like in qualifying 1 it has P4 at the end of Q1, so not too bad, only a few tenths away from the Mercedes there. And to be fair, it wasn't the best of laps, so there's still a potential for me to find more pace in the car, in myself, in just about everything as we head into the second and crucially the third part of qualifying here. We can see already there's a lot of traffic, so much congestion as we come into the third sector here to start our first flying lap. And as you can see, I think that's Kimi Räikkönen, who absolutely parks it on the final corner there. He's lost his front wing, holds us up quite considerably there, and because of that we got a crap exit off the final corner. And now the Sauber is passing us up the inside into turn 1. As we slow it down, we turned in without any fear here. And it almost cost us there as we head into turn 1. If that was real life, I think that front wing cutting our right rear tyre probably would have resulted in a puncture or something like that. But we managed to progress through. We set a pretty competitive lap time once again, a 1:37.0 or something. And the reason why I zoomed in there is because Crofty was saying that Lewis Hamilton was knocked out in Q2 when he clearly wasn't. So we're looking pretty good so far at the start of this Japanese Grand Prix. Heading into Q3 now, I still feel like we can find even more pace. And if the Mercedes underperform like they did in Q2, then anything's possible. So here we go, setting up for our final Q3 session here. And we run out of fuel at the end of our first run, right as we crossed the line there. So that was essentially perfect timing here. And now this is the end of the session once again. I've already set 1 flying lap on this run, and now this is my second flying lap. So I put 4 laps of fuel in the car, and unfortunately again the fuel consumption, it seems, is quite high. I can't get to the end of the lap without setting a better time. And I was actually really disappointed with this because I was about 2 tenths up on this lap, and that would have gained me maybe 2 or 3 positions there, because we're only 2 tenths away from Lewis Hamilton, who got pole position for the Japanese Grand Prix. I want to go through and show you guys my sector times, because as I said, I was actually green on my previous best, and I would have moved up by about a tenth or 2. So what can you do? We do have a bit more pace than what we showed in qualifying there. But as you can see, look at the third and final lap. You can see Sector 1 and Sector 2 were quicker than my best lap set on the second lap there. So there is room for improvement. We can move forward in this race. I'm hoping that we can get off to an electrifying start and possibly lead this race in the first stint. So it's time for the Japanese Grand Prix. So here we are, guys, for the start of the Japanese Grand Prix. I'm really optimistic for the start of this race. I feel like we have a really good chance of winning, as I see my name in P10. Why is my name in P10? Again, just like in Singapore, I believe we were moved down, even though it didn't show we had a grid penalty like we did in Singapore at the end of the qualifying results. So I don't know what the deal is there. That is super frustrating. But we'll move on. Race strategy, it's a 2-stop. Option, prime. We're starting even further down the field than what we were before. So we've got a lot of making up to do at the start of this race. I want to chase down those Mercedes and absolutely beat them in this race. Away we go for the Japanese Grand Prix, and it looks like it's been an okay start. At the front, the Mercedes still lead, as you see, heading into turn 1. Lewis Hamilton takes the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix. We're passing a Toro Rosso, and both Maldonado and a freaking Sauber into turn 1. That's incredible. As we go through the S section now, we're going to see if we can find any more positions. Maybe take a risk or two going round the outside of the Force India, which turns to the inside for the next right-hander. It's paid off, and we swoop past our teammate Daniel Ricciardo as well, so that's been a very good start. Can we find any more positions now as we swoop past? I think that's Felipe Massa now. He's still on our inside as we head into the Degna 1 and Degna 2 section, and just leaving Massa a little bit of space meant that we ran wide onto the gravel there, but we hold firm, and I think we move back into our starting position of P5. So next up is Kimi Räikkönen. We've got Valtteri Bottas in P4, then Vettel, and then the 2 Mercedes cars. But it's not over yet for P5, because here comes Massa round the outside on the start-finish straight, and he takes back P5, almost brake-checking me there through turn 1, but we're getting back through turn 2 again. So it's been a very fiery start here for the Japanese Grand Prix. We're going to try and move forward as much as we can while we still got fresher tyres. And on lap 4 here, we can see that's Kimi Räikkönen and Valtteri Bottas colliding through turns 1 and 2, and that's meant that they've given up a position to me. So I'll take that any day of the week. We move up into, I think that's P3 now, P4. P4? P3, I'm not too sure. It must be P4 because we've still got 3 cars in front of us. But yeah, those two, they just interlocked wheels through that corner. And that's what happens with the contact system on this game. Once you're like glued to another car, you can't get off, and you just go straight on. And so that's what's happened here with Räikkönen and Bottas there. They've lost a whole heap of time. There goes me slipping through there in turn 2. And I think Daniel Ricciardo wasn't too far behind them as well. So we cut on now to about lap 6 or 7 now, and we can see there's a slow car on the left. That was a Sauber. But there's also a stopped car on the right. I wonder if it was one of the leaders. We'll see on this replay here of Sebastian Vettel following the 2 Mercedes cars. Oh, both Mercedes cars are gone! So they got tangled up with that Sauber who was limping, some kind of mechanical problem, and then Vettel takes the lead. We move into P2. So in the last few laps, we've gained, 4 or 5 positions now out of sheer luck that the AI have just taken each other out. So that's Hamilton trying to avoid the Sauber, but unfortunately the Sauber moved to the left as well at the same time. And then Rosberg touches Hamilton's right rear, and it's synchronized spinning for the Mercedes into the barrier. Vettel moves into the lead. We move into P2. All of our Christmases here have come at once. And I just can't believe the start of this Japanese Grand Prix. I've not seen the AI make so many mistakes at the start of a race. Once again, on the slow-mo, you'll see both the Mercedes cars take each other out. I will not get over the fact that they've both taken each other out. Vettel comes so close to wiping himself out as well. He did very well to avoid that Sauber, who has a front right puncture there. And this is just a view from the Sauber as he gets very close to Sebastian Vettel. Not going to lie there. That is a lucky escape for him. And further on down the road, this is Sergio Perez absolutely blasting through Nico Rosberg. And because he's ghosted there, that means he's retired. He's crashed out. And then there's obviously more of a domino effect here that's happened now. So Perez lost his front wing. Bottas has gone into the back of Perez. And I imagine that there's a whole heap more of crashes that's happened because of this. So I'm trying to capture all of this on the replay, so I'm sorry if I don't have the best angles. But there's only so far you can go back on the replay cameras. So Perez out, Bottas out, Rosberg out, Hamilton, I don't know if he's out of the race yet, but he has obviously lost his front wing, or he's lost a lot of time. Either way, it's not looking good for the leaders here. And Perez is stuck in the middle of the circuit, and of course, he gets taken out, this time by Jenson Button. So look at this, he turns into the path of Perez there, and then at the last minute he tries to go, oh shit, I've made a mistake here, tries to turn out of it, but obviously he doesn't, he loses his front wing there. So we carry on, and we'll get an update to Vettel. Okay, so that's the scenario from us to Vettel. It's very close at the moment. We are closing him in. I wonder if he has damage. But here's a replay. This is what started it all. This was the Saubers colliding on the previous lap. And obviously, both of them crashed out. They're going to limp back to the pits. And what's happened here, one of them has lost their front wing and they've got a puncture. So they're going incredibly slowly, and then it takes them about 30 seconds for the leaders to catch up in the middle sector. And this is where Hamilton collides with the ailing Sauber. So I'm just trying to piece together all the pictures of the puzzle here to see what happened in this race. And that was how the race was turned on its head. And carrying on further along now, this is the Sauber holding up the back markers, gets spun out by a Lotus, and I'd imagine it's just a big limp back to the pits with all these ailing cars without their front wings. And then another Force India, that might be Sergio Perez who takes him out. It's just madness. Absolute madness. This is on levels of Monaco for Pro Season Mode, how the AI were all self-destructing around us. And again, Perez involved in another accident. This is Hamilton, and then the Manor spins out Perez. Perez must be having the worst day of his life at the moment. Just, he can't catch a break so far. So, we know that Hamilton has made it back to the pits. He's still in the race. He pits to change his front wing, which looks like it's pretty intact there, I'm not going to lie. So, he changes his tyres and he goes back on the options. So, he's going to remain on the same strategy that he's on. But crucially for him, he is still in the race. He's lost a lot of time, but he's going to be one to watch if he has the pace to catch up. So cutting forward now, this is about lap 10, lap 11 or something like that. We finally pass the other Sauber, the one that didn't lose their front wing. He's gone a lap down. I'd imagine there's going to be a lot of cars that go a lap down in this race as we cut to lap 9 now. So we aren't further along in the race than what I thought we were. We've got Raikkonen now catching up to us quite considerably. It looks like our straight line speed in this race evidently isn't that great as Raikkonen passes us into 130R, but I'm not quite done yet. We may pass him up the inside into the final chicane, and we leave a bit of space on the outside, and we've got him back into P2. So it looks like the Ferraris are the quickest car at the moment. I can't say much for the Mercedes. They may have a bit of damage, being Hamilton being the only one left in the race. So this is about lap 15 now, I think. Coming in for our first stop, going on to another set of options. And then in our next stint, we'll go on to a set of primes. So that is the race. I can finally take a deep breath. All the incidents are over. We've reset now. I think that's Raikkonen right behind us rejoining. He went for a 3 or 4 lap undercut on us. So I don't know what's happening there with Raikkonen. He seems to be either struggling with tyre wear or possibly on a different strategy. I'm not too sure yet. But Raikkonen very quick on the straights. There's nothing we can do. We almost sideswipe him there as we try and cut off the gap there, trying to get some slipstream as quickly as possible. And as you'll see on the replay here, Raikkonen a bit of side pod damage on the right-hand side there. I believe that's from the incident with Bottas in a turn 1. And we make contact with his right rear tyre and survive. So anyway, we cut on to the live action once again. This is a few corners after we touch Raikkonen's right rear, and you can see how quick we are in the first sector. There's no doubting how quick we are with our better downforce, better chassis of the Red Bull, and it's working wonders here for us through the first and second sector. Unfortunately, we just don't have the straight line speed to really compete in this race, and we try and hold around the outside of Raikkonen through Degna 1. And didn't really work out for us there. We took an excursion through the gravel, up the inside into the hairpin. This isn't really the best overtaking maneuver, unless you can get your entire car in front, and we don't manage to do that. Raikkonen holds the outside and gets the better traction on the exit. So it's turning into a good old scrap here with Kimi Raikkonen here for second place in this race. Sebastian Vettel, I'm not going to lie, he's pretty much running away with this race at the moment. He's about a second a lap quicker than us at this so far in this race. It seemed like I got the gap under 2 seconds, but after that I just couldn't stay with Vettel. His tyre wear was probably a little bit better than mine. But anyway, we resume with Raikkonen. We may dive it up the inside like we did on the previous lap. The gap closes on the left, so we move to the right up the inside into the final chicane and back into P2. As you can see on the replay, Raikkonen closes the gap, so we move to the inside. I felt like that was a really good overtaking move. Both times we did that, having to react late to avoid Raikkonen, just going up the inside and as clean as you like into the final chicane. Job done. Back into P2, and unfortunately I don't think we're going to win this race, but I'm going to try my best to finish in P2 if I can. Here comes Raikkonen once again into 130R. This time there's a bit of contact. We throw up the hand in frustration as Raikkonen has clattered into the side of our car there. And I think Raikkonen raised his hand too, so he understeered a little bit, forced us off the track, and believe it or not, we actually got a penalty from that. As you can hear from the engineer there, look in the caption, a 3-second penalty for abusing the track limits, even though we got forced off wide. We are probably going to lose second place because of that now. If we finish in front of Raikkonen, it won't matter because we got a 3-second penalty. So a little bit frustrating with the strict corner cutting rules, which we do have enabled because it is pro season mode. All the hardcore assists are turned off. You know, it's like the hardest you can get. So obviously the strict corner cutting is going to be on, but it's game on once again. We're going to try and get back in front of Raikkonen in the hope that maybe we can pull away later in the race. And we move around the outside through the first sector, and we get past the Manadui before the first Degner. Yes, we do. He might hold up Raikkonen. No, he doesn't. Raikkonen moves through as well. So it's turning into, as I said, it's turning into a really good battle here with Raikkonen. Even though we may not finish in second place, I still want to have a really nice battle with Raikkonen nonetheless. He moves up the inside into 130R once again, parks the bus this time on the apex, and we had no choice but to give him a little love tap there at the exit of that corner. A little bit frightening there when you're going almost 300 kilometers an hour. But anyway, we'll carry on. I think we're coming in for our pit stop fairly soon, maybe the next 10 laps or something, so that's something we'll need to watch out for. There's a yellow flag because someone has stopped in front of us. That was, I think that was a Force India there. You'll see, we only just avoided him as we move to the right. We are fully committed, we are fully loaded. I could not avoid that any better if I tried. So close to, I think it's probably Perez. He's probably having the worst day of his life, as I said before. So, probably no doubt that it is Perez. But anyway, we'll try and press on, as we were, trying to chase down Kimi Raikkonen, who gets a bit of a tank slapper at the exit of the Spoon corner. We'll put it up into fast. I'm really fancying a go at Raikkonen here at the end of this straight. We may pass him up the inside into the final chicane like we have done in the past. Raikkonen goes defensive, then moves to the left, and the gap isn't quite there. Again, we give Raikkonen the tiniest of touches through the final corner. Raikkonen is sliding all over the place, so he's not that great in the corners, but what his saving grace here is he's quick in a straight line, and that's how he's getting in front of us. If only we had a little bit more straight line speed, we'd actually be able to pull away and not be bothered about Raikkonen as he runs wide through the first corner. He left us a little bit too much space like we did to Bottas early on in the race, and he just ran wide off the track there. So we are back into position 2. We've got another Manor getting in the way here, so hopefully we can dispatch of him a little bit easier than what we did previously, and he holds up Raikkonen there. So this may be our chance for us to pull away and dispatch of Raikkonen, but unfortunately he still stayed within 1 second of DRS, and that was really what was keeping Raikkonen in the race here. Once again, 130R, we make contact, Raikkonen slams into my side pod there. I tried to go defensive into 130R, and he still went for the move, and he essentially ran out of track there and just like hit me off the track there. So I wish I would have got a slow-mo of that because it just showed how Raikkonen just completely went into my line, and there was really nothing else I could do there. So from here, I was actually pretty pissed off. I was trying to get in front of Raikkonen just for bragging rights to say that I finished in front of him. It looks like this may be the start of a new rivalry here, possibly. We are battling with Raikkonen for the championship as he comes into the pit lane, and I'm trying to suppress my rage here because as he comes into the pit lane without any warning, we've run into the back of him. You could probably say that was my fault there. I'll take full responsibility for that, but it's just further compounding my day here that again we've collided with Kimi Raikkonen. We're going to carry on. There is a massive gap to the car behind us, who I believe is Felipe Massa. So we don't need to worry about that too much as we get past a slow McLaren Honda. A little bit risky there as he completely cut the corner there. So lap 33, 20 laps to go. We're coming in for a set of primes now as we should run to the end of the race here without any issues. So I've got to say, Raikkonen came in about 3 or 4 laps ago and he put on a set of option tyres. So Raikkonen, he came in again, not long after putting on that set of options, and he's put on the set of primes again. So he's going for an extra stop here in this race. It may be a little bit confusing, but trust me, it makes sense in my head. But yeah, so we're now on the prime tyres, both of us. That's how we are pretty much both on the same part of the racetrack. Otherwise, Raikkonen would be a long way up the road. He's been using fresh tyres and the pace of the Ferrari to get the track position. And unfortunately, the extra pit stop for him has meant that he's back in my territory once again. But now he's got fresher prime tyres, and I don't imagine we'll be able to challenge him all too much. I try and go for a measly overtake up the inside, but the gap was closing and it didn't really look like it was going to work out now. So there's only a few laps to go in this race now. That's Daniel Ricciardo, who is a lap down trying to unlap himself. I let him go. He cuts the corner, parks the bus on the exit, and I mean, the AI, I try and give them a break. I try and leave them some space, and then this happens. Like, Ricciardo slows down to about third gear pace, and I had nowhere to go but into the back of him. And again, Charlie Whiting thought it would be funny to give me a penalty for that, even though my teammate should not have been passing me, even though he was a lap down, and he held me up so much, and he probably risked a lot of points for Red Bull today by doing that. But thankfully for us, Felipe Massa, about 20 seconds behind us, or 15 seconds probably now, after that incident with Ricciardo. After all this, all the action, all the drama of the Japanese Grand Prix, we're going to come home and finish on the podium still. That's how crazy this race has been. It's just incredible. So there we go, guys. The Japanese Grand Prix. It's been run and won by Sebastian Vettel, absolutely dominating this race. 24 seconds the gap from himself to Kimi Raikkonen. We finish on the podium after the leaders completely got blown up by the Sauber. And then there was just the domino effect going right throughout the midfield, all the way to the back markers. And that's how there's so many cars a lap down. And yeah, after all that, like, to finish on the podium and to gain points on Lewis Hamilton has been a dream come true at the end of this Grand Prix. Considering we started in P10, I was really expecting us to be knocked out of the championship contention here. Both Mercedes finishing last, Daniel Ricciardo getting tangled up with us. I knew that we were going to gain points on the Mercedes. That's why I was trying to take a more conservative approach in this race. And even still, we still got tangled up with our teammate and Raikkonen a couple times. And that's why we got the 8-second penalty. We got the 5-second penalty for colliding with Daniel Ricciardo, and then the 3-second one for getting hit off wide by Raikkonen. Speaking of Raikkonen, he moves into the lead of the drivers' standings. He is 4 points clear of us. Hamilton, the sandwich between us two, only 2 points behind Kimi Raikkonen there. So it's getting very close in the standings. Vettel making some very big inroads as well by winning that race. So that's been the Japanese Grand Prix for today. Hopefully you guys have thoroughly enjoyed that one. Leave a like if you enjoyed. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe to see more racing game videos in the not too distant future. But that's been Pro Season Mode, episode number 14. I'm losing my voice. That's going to be it for today. Until my next one, guys, I'll see you next time.
I've got a question, if you'd hear me out. In your defense, you never had a chance. And so tell me straight, I won't go. This is our time now, I'm sure. Make no mistake, that we are closer than we're far. Embrace for impact, and fight your fears far. Embrace for impact, I'm the future's engineer.